Brown County Commission to order. Commissioner Kipper, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning.
Morning.
First item on the agenda. Before we go to the first item on the agenda, I just want to announce that our 911 service is down, and the other phone number to call is 626-7911. And it seems to be a problem not only in Brown County, also there's other counties involved with it also. So I understand it may be a CenturyLink problem, so they'll be working on it. So that's just information. First item on our agenda, we'll have the first reading of several ordinances. The first reading is ordinance 124. It's the Gower rezone. You want separate motions for these?
Yes.
I'll move this one.
Second.
Moved by Fishback, second by Sutton to authorize the first reading of the Gower rezone, ordinance 124. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ordinance one. What?
I was going to say, I'd move the BITS rezone.
Okay, ordinance 125, BITS rezone.
Second.
Moved by Kipley, second by Hanson to authorize first reading of the BITS rezone. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have ordinance 126, the Wolf rezone. First reading.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Fishback to authorize the first reading of the Wolf rezone, ordinance 126. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Pardon me?
Did you do the pledge?
Rich will do it.
That's the back, Max.
We have just a couple minutes before we're on 8:50. No idea. Adam, you doing any football games this week?
Going to Britain Thursday, and Lucas is going to Webster Thursday.
You seen Britton play?
Yeah, twice.
Pretty good?
They are dang near as talented last year. I'd say they were really good shots to repeat, actually.
So they must have found someone to replace Goddard, huh?
He wasn't I mean,
My comparison
as far as
sundial and
9-in, tight end stand out.
This
A lot of it, but he did
is
stand
comparison
out.
with sundial and in code, but really there's technically
Found something
nothing
that's out in the state.
So I'll pass this around. What's this work? That is my comparison to sundial to RAM for the amount of the gross checks.
Is that by department? I didn't see it. Or is that per
Commissioner
individual?
Sheridan? It's individual.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you have a short right there, actually.
And Kyle just brought up his check. So we'll deposit it in 778 and write a check to Kendall. That's the only one I've seen a payback on. And we're doing it out of 778 because there's no accounting to go with it.
8:50, our next item on our agenda would be Jade Schott, discuss Aberdeen Karting Club lease agreement. Is Jade here?
Karting club guys are out here, so talk to them.
Karting club?
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Dwayne. I guess what we're here for today is to renew the lease for the party club.
Okay. Everything appears to be pretty much the same as before. Is there
Well,
anything that...
there's a few things we need to change, just a couple. You'll have a copy of the lease.
I don't have it. I'll get them.
Okay.
I guess go ahead and just kind of give us an idea of what you're looking at, the changes
Okay, basically, number 5 on the lease, it says, no changes, additions, anything like that. But it says except everything that we do out there belongs to the county, and we understand that, and that's no more than right, but it says except the concession stand, which remains the property of AKC, which I think any building that's out there should be property of the county. And we'd just like to change that, so concession stand should be property of the county. It's a structure, it's fixed, it's, on a cement slab. It's got electricity. So there's that one. And then
Has that concession stand always been part of that agreement with the karting club, or?
As long as we've had the lease, and I don't know why.
It's been 9 years.
Who built it, Kurt?
Girl Scouts.
Girl Scouts.
built it.
The Girl Scouts built it.
Sorry, my name's Kurt too, I guess.
Is it still in good shape?
It needs a little work. I mean, not a lot, siding, I suppose.
Siding has a couple holes in it from hail, and one of the window doors in it is plywood and has a little rotten spot in the corner. But other than that, it's in good shape. We use it every year for our concessions and storage.
It should be considered the same as the concession stand for car racing in the pit area. It's their obligation to maintain that property, even though it belongs to the county. We do not use it, and so...
That's what I was kind of wondering.
Yeah, it should be the karting club's responsibility
Yeah,
to
I think
maintain
that's
and...
in here.
We will take full responsibility. We just, it shows that all the rest of our buildings are your guys' property except that one, and I guess if all of them are yours, we would just like to verify that this one is yours too.
But you guys are gonna make all the upgrades and
Yeah,
improvements to it?
that's all,
Yes.
that's already in.
That's already in
I like
number
that,
5.
it's more uniform that way.
Exactly, and that's what we're looking
And
at.
it is permanent.
Yes, it's permanently bolted down to a concrete slab.
So we're gonna just cross that out, exempt the concession stand which shall remain in property.
Yeah.
We're just gonna cross that out on 5 as
Yeah,
that kind of what
after
we're
the
going.
comma.
Yeah, we could just cross that out.
No.
Put a period there and delete that last part.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Okay, and number 8, it's not the IKF anymore, it's not International Kart Federation. Our insurance is with American Kart Track Promoters Association.
If you just want to say the initials.
AKTPA. That's who we have our insurance with. And it is a $1 million policy. If somebody gets hurt or something, is that what that?
Yes, it covers everybody that's out there, including the drivers, racers, employees, and all.
They look like good changes to me.
And then there's just one other thing we need to add is,
the, water, we'd like to put that in there, that we pay for all the water that we use. Correct?
Right.
Kurt's been metering us. This has been an on-year, 2-year process. We're trying to figure out who's using water, what it's used for. So there's been a meter installed on the hydrant that we fill from. So every time we take any water, we fill out a meter chart for Kurt. And at the end of the year, he's been processing it. We talked, and this year he said that starting next year, he'd like us to pay for the water that we use for the track, and we do use a substantial amount. So he's averaged our yearly bill for the last 2 years and kind of told us what it's going to be, and we would like to put it in our lease so you guys know that we are responsible for it and we will pay it.
So should that probably go under number 4, under the maintenance of the track? Would you say that's probably where we need to put that water in?
Or even just make another number.
Address it in number 9.
Yeah.
Specific.
Okay.
That way it's fair to be.
Because it's not really maintenance.
Yeah.
So how many kids are involved in karting? Is it
We
growing?
have, this is just kind of we have 5 classes, and next year we're gonna add at least 1 more, and there's at least 10 in each class.
Wow.
Our members this
No.
year were 38 members.
And
Oh, so it's not just kids, it's adults too?
Yes.
yes, it's everybody, and this year it has grown substantially.
Yes.
And our fair race brought in,
75 entries.
yeah,
Yep, 53 total different racers running in 75 different classes. So some people double class. They'll run 2 different classes, like an open and an adult. So it's actually been the biggest race we've ever had in the last 7 to 8 years. When I took the club over in 2014, we only had 14 members. And now we're looking at 38 members. So we've doubled, if not almost tripled, in the last 7 years. So we just would like you guys to know that every year we've been growing more and more. And like I said, the fair race this year was the biggest fair race we've had in the last 7 or 8 years, period.
and it'll be bigger next year.
Yes. We have more improvements and more tours that we're planning along with Rapid City, Brookings, and was it Jamestown that we were thinking, or?
Rapid City, Brookings, us, and then the state championship, I'm working on that right now. We'll probably alternate through these 3 towns. Right now it's held in Brookings. But we have the most members, and we're the ones doing the work, so we'd like to bring it back to Aberdeen.
It's good
So,
for us.
Yeah.
Is the reason the big one, the week of the fair, is because of the appeal of the fair? People want to be there that week, and they're coming anyway?
Yes, and not only that, but usually we try to do a big money payout race the week of the fair. So we get donations from local community companies and stuff like that. This year, the Hotel Alliance was a big donator for us. We paid out $4,900 for that day's races, which is the biggest payout we've had probably ever. And like I said, it's the biggest race we've had ever, 75 entries. I mean, it's a substantial number of people. Our grandstands were actually so full that we were going to talk to Kurt and find out if we can get more grandstands there. The club has grown that big to where we have enough spectators that come and watch for free every Saturday that we can't even provide enough seating for them anymore.
That's good news.
Wasn't the Fair Alliance the one we lost?
Airlines are really
Lost it from fair, gained it in karting. Left City guys are growing. Look at that.
Exactly.
Any concerns or questions, Kurt?
No, the only other thing that I want to mention is, for the last 18 years, we've really had a great partnership with the karting club. I mean, we've helped them out, they help us out whenever we need to, so it's really worked well for the fairgrounds to have them out there. The other thing is we are going to need to replace the water truck, and actually the truck that they use to water their track belongs to the county, but we share that truck. During the fair, we use it to water roads, and we also take it out and use it in the open arena for when we need to prep that for shows. So that is, that truck is 38 years old, and it's about time that it goes down the road. So the karting club has said that they would invest also in helping us buy a new water truck for the fairgrounds.
And 2 years ago, we did invest and we helped purchase the new tank that we put on there.
Yeah.
And we were gonna put a new pump and a new motor on for this next spring too, because this one's about wore out.
So you can keep the tank and get a different truck. right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So I'll just go down to here.
Cooperation, that's unique, huh?
Yeah.
The county.
Well, we've always tried, you know, I was on the board before Corey took over, and Fred Johnson. We've always worked well together and always, you know, helped each other out. When we got off the board, Corey was pretty much left on his own, and he's done a great job. He's pretty much by himself for the last couple of years, and this year we decided, hey, we need to help out, and so we got back on the board and got
7 of us now.
7 of us, and each and every one of us has a duty. And so, trash pickup, one guy will have that, so it will be cleaned up each and every time, so.
Sounds good.
I like this cooperation. It's a good
Yeah.
partnership, thank you.
Derek, you have anything?
I'd request maybe a delay on the vote till next week, just to talk a little bit further about fair implications. I mean, we talked a little bit about the, you know, hotel grants, pivot, for lack of a better term. So maybe just talk a little bit about how we see that kind of going forward. Also with Primitive developing at the rate that it's developing, we're not sure what that development request might be. So there's talk of a couple of options in the contract. So if we were to move forward on a contract today, I would respectfully request just a 3-year without the option, and then review in 3 years to see where we're at.
Are you saying, Derek, just so I understand it right, that you don't want them to get money from someplace that the fair is getting money?
I'm saying there's potential impacts to the fair for having events that potentially compete in the eyes of the bidder or the grantor.
But this is all year, aren't you, all summer?
All year. I'm talking about just the week of the fair. I'm not talking about any other time other than just during the week of the fair.
We had the Dakota Cart Tour,
Uh-huh.
and that, they gave us that money for them, and we used it for them in the fair race.
Okay.
It wasn't just a
So it was
sole-
used for the fair
Yeah,
race?
it
then?
wasn't, when we got the donation was the beginning of the year donation, and they asked what we were gonna use it for. And we told them we were gonna use it for, we had 2 Dakota Cart Tour shows and the fair race. All 3 of them were money races.
Okay.
They specified as to where we were gonna use the money. We chose to use it for the fair race. They didn't specifically ask us, and that's not specifically what we were going for.
Mhm.
But when it came down to it, that money was for the payouts for the fair race.
Okay, and then the Primitive trailer, camper, whatever, are you thinking of taking away the track and replacing it with campers?
It's too early to talk about that. I mean, that's at least that's 3 to 5 years down the road, but I don't see that as an option. There's some roads that we might have to do kind of in front of the track, maybe on the opposite side of the track, to allow the cars to come in and out, which could also offer opportunity for carters to camp as well too. So I think a 9-year contract, like 2 options on top of the 3, I think is too long, because nobody knows what our needs will be in 5 to 10 years. That's all I'm saying.
And I know I won't be here after the first of the year, but I think anything that can promote more than a week or so of activity within the people, young and adults, in a community our size, I think we need to keep them going. So I would look otherwise for your camping, and I would hope that, I know our office gives to more than one place,
Sure.
and I would hope that our fair would not limit other businesses or other units from getting money or donations.
Just so you know, 65% of those 53 members or people that raced, 65% of them either stayed in motel rooms or camped at the fairgrounds. We actually had people that come in with huge trucks and trailers because they travel all over, racing with Jade because he travels all over, and they stayed at the fairgrounds. They came 2 or 3 days in advance. They stayed there or at another campsite around Aberdeen. And so it's not as if everybody just stayed in a motel. These people have big, huge Winnebagos and campers, and that's what they do, is travel and race.
And we're taught, when we say 75 racers, that's just the racers, okay? Mom and dads come with,
Grandparents.
grandparents,
Whole families.
whole family. So out of those 75, we probably had 300 that as soon as the races were done, you know where they went?
The
To
fair.
the fair.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
want to do anything to jeopardize what these guys are doing.
I don't think we need to either.
Too good a relationship to jeopardize it.
Thank you for your answers.
No problem. Thank you
So
guys.
instead
for
of
having us.
going 2 additional 3-year periods, if you went 1, that puts you on 6 years. Because you've got a 3-year renewal and you got 1 more 3-year, and right now you got 9 years according to the way I read this, 2 additional 3-year terms. So you got 3, 6, 9. Is there a problem if the guy goes down to 1 renewal and you got 6 years, and then we kind of see what happens at that point, or?
Well,
I'm throwing that out there, I mean,
Yeah, what our plans are for the future is, I got a map here. I'm sure you've all seen that storage shed trailer way in the back. Well, that needs to go, and it's
Rotted out.
rotted out, it's a mess, it just needs to be gone. What we would like to do, and that's not now, but in next couple of years, we would like to put up, you know, a permanent building to where we can use it in the wintertime. Kurt can put his stuff in it. So at our expense, you know, and we know it's gonna be the county's, but,
So that's why you need the long range.
well, we would like, you know, at least 3 years with 2 3-year options.
Well, you know, the way the contract reads is it's only set in stone for the 3-year period, and that's at the county's discretion now.
Option means option.
Yep.
Yes.
So after
You
3
guys are
years, if the
comfortable with
county
that?
doesn't want to extend it, they don't have to.
We actually talked about maybe a bigger lease.
Well,
like
we would like a
5-year.
5-year.
We would like a 5-year lease, and with the option to do something afterwards, just so if we're gonna spend this kind of money on a new building, we would not like to be pushed out when we're spending those kind of dollars for improvements. We're also looking at expanding. I've been working with the RC Club, and they want to rent the track and use it every Sunday, the day after we race. They want to bring the RC cars out there and run them along with their indoor track. And they've been asking us for about a year. I just got off the phone yesterday with our insurance, and our insurance will cover them. So they're looking at racing starting next spring immediately. Karting starts in April and ends in October. We run 8 months of the year. And that would be 8 months of the RC cars running out there every weekend or every other weekend also. So it's not just going to be us from now on. We're trying to expand, and the RC Club would be another way to bring more children and families out there, and maybe get some people in the RC into karting and get some people in the karting into RC. And if you don't, radio-controlled cars, RC. I don't know if you guys understood that, but...
I got
that helps.
I like
I seen a couple people kind of looking at me, like, what's RC?
Yeah.
No, I got
Radio-controlled
examples.
cars,
I
and they
have
range
to-
anywhere from 8th scale or 10th scale all the way up to 5th and quarter scale. I mean, they're 50 pounds. I mean, there's some big cars, they go 50, 60 miles an hour. They actually go faster than the go-karts do. So we're looking at, I just spoke with Stearns this morning about it, and it's a thumbs up as far as they want to jump aboard and help us out, and we want to help them.
I support what you guys are trying to do, and I like the changes that you've made. On number 2, I do like to keep it the way that it is. It gives the 3 years concrete, and then if something were to come, because there are a ton of changes going on that fairground right now, and there's a lot of things in the works where potentially new buildings, different things, so we need to make sure our hands aren't bound.
Okay.
6 years, 3 years, you know, but that gives you the concrete go ahead to, you know, for sure you got something there.
Okay.
So you would like to keep the 3-year
I would. I like the language that's in 2 right now, that it's a 3-year term with 2 additional 3-year terms at the discretion of the county.
Yeah, I agree with Rachel on that too.
That would give us the option of, it's
Doesn't
hard
matter
for
whether
your
we get
building, I
2
can
options or
understand where
3
you might not
options,
want to put that building up.
Those are options,
I
we
do
don't have to,
understand
you know.
that.
I guess I would make that motion to approve it with that change in there. The changes that we talked about here, I don't think there's any...
I guess maybe, Chris, what we should do is actually have the contract drawn up with the changes and then approve it.
Right.
Do it next week?
I suppose you could, I mean, I don't think it hurts, we know what the changes are.
Okay, the 2 3-year options then, that is something that if the commission at that time says, no, we're going to give it to the fair and dig it up.
I just want
That's
to
an
clarify,
option?
I just
I'm
want to
not-
clarify that point because that's not what I'm asking.
Well, I mean,
I'm just
but
asking
if it
just to
would.
make that fair.
If they want to take it away, they can after this, for this 3-year term, correct?
I suppose, yeah.
I don't see your building going up. Okay.
So do you want to wait for the language, or you want to stay?
Well, I guess looks like there's a little discussion yet.
Well, no, I just wanted to clarify, but...
We're just trying to make improvements. The trailer's shot, and we can't leave everything sit outside.
Yeah.
This
I
building, we're
understand
actually
that.
gonna put over part of the backside of the track where our scales are, so it protects the scales. It puts the building right next to where our check-in shack is, so we can store everything right there. We don't have to haul it all the way across, and we need some kind of storage out there. I mean, it's impossible for us to load all this
So
stuff
does
up.
Kurt, that's why I
Well,
appreciate
Nancy,
that.
this isn't what they're asking for. I don't know why
Well-
you say the building's not gonna go up then.
Well, what was the building going to cost?
We haven't figured it out yet.
Well, yeah, we did a little
Okay.
bit, with cement and everything. We're probably looking between, depends on how big we
Yeah,
can and
I
what
understand
Kurt
that.
decides, but anywhere from probably 12,000 to 17,000.
A 3-year thing, and then not have that track,
I'm gonna second Rachel's motion.
you know, that's where I'd like
What they
to
asked
see
for.
it.
I see what you're saying. It'd be
Yeah.
hard to lose a $17,000 building after 3 years, is what you're saying.
It's not likely.
Well,
Anything can happen, but it's not
Anything
likely.
can happen, but we're not only just doing it for us, you know, we're trying to help.
So you would have no
County
problem
and-
giving it over?
No,
Okay.
no,
That makes me feel better.
no.
I think the working relationship has been such that we wouldn't hope that would ever go that way, but if you got a crystal ball and can tell me what the fairgrounds are gonna do in 3 to 5 years, or what your karting club's gonna
Yeah.
do in 3 to 5 years, I think that's the unknown. I don't think anybody can really
No.
project that. I think we just have to kinda go with the plan we've been on, and it's been a very workable deal. We can't foresee the future. I mean, I think we, and what you're doing out there does benefit the county also. So, it's kind of a win-win for both of us, but there again, tell me what's gonna happen 5 years from now.
And there are key advocates on the fair board and here in the commission that understand the importance of what you guys are doing. And it has been a great partnership, and it will continue to be. I mean, if you guys are successful, so are we.
We've run the fair race for 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've always, and during the fair, we've always pretty much manned that check-in shack at the corner there.
3 years.
Up until the last 3 years. I don't know, I wasn't on the board, so I don't know what happened. But we always used to do that, and the money that we got for that, we always put right back to the county. So we weren't taking anything out of there. That was our donation.
You've been a good supporter of the county.
The county would pay us $1,500 to man that booth for the week. And when Amy was in charge, it went from $1,500 to $750. And that's why we stopped manning it, is because of all the hours it was taking. And at the time, the club only had 14, 15, 16 members. And I was spending whole days out there every day of the week because I couldn't find anybody to man it. So at that time, we turned it back over to Amy and said, even though you've been paying us 15 and we've been giving the money straight back to you guys, I don't have the manpower to do it this couple of years. and that's why we decided not to do it, and it's been 3 years. So the last 3 years, we have not manned that entrance gate.
And we're more than willing to do that again.
We have the manpower now.
Part of it just comes down to funding, because, I mean, if we're gonna go back that far, you know, the fair, and I can speak, having been on the board at the time and been on the exec committee, you know, we've supported the race as well in terms of trophies and carnival tickets, and then this year cash. So I'm not necessarily opposed to the race during the fair. I just think that there needs to be a little bit more clearer language, much like we did with the racing contract for, you know, the bigger cars in the grandstand. As it grows and scales, obviously, the relationship between the support and the help may change.
Okay.
Whether it's you guys maybe helping us man the gates and getting paid for that, or if there's revenue sources from other sponsors, you know, maybe not being able to support in terms of cash or carnival tickets. So part of that is also something that we need to look at too as well. That's the only reason why I think if we can have a discussion about that a little bit in more detail as it grows or scales, and then also give you guys a safeguard too if it happens to go backwards like it maybe has in the past. You know, maybe we come in and help support to keep it going as well too. So I'm not necessarily opposed to the race. I just think it's very vague as far as whose responsibility is what during that week.
So that's
maybe
the
framing
only
that
thing
out.
you're talking about is just that 1 week?
Yeah, I'm not talking about like the entire year. I'm just
Okay.
talking about the week of the fair. And I think that's maybe where some of the confusion came from.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're easy to work with.
And we're easy to
so-
work with. I mean, if we're asked to not have that race and it's the best for everybody, we won't. But it's a race that we've had for 20 years, and we usually promote it all year long as our big money race, and that's how we get all the out-of-town people in, is to pay out big dollars to have a big race for the fair, because not only does it bring in the people for the race, but it brings it in for the fair.
Yeah, I mean, they like to
And
come
with
that
that,
week because of the
appreciate
fair too.
Got a
It
double
gives-
reason to
gives
come.
them Double reason to
Mhm.
come, exactly.
And it challenges our kids to race other kids.
We had people here from Nebraska, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and North Dakota. So,
It was a big race.
Good.
So Chris, we have a 3-year set with an option to renew in 3 years, and the two other 3 years. On the end of the 3 years, does that leave us room to discuss changes maybe at that point rather than changing the contract now? In other words, do you see a problem in the next 3 years, Derek? So at the end of 3 years, if we have this conversation about the fair has grown or your carting club's grown too much, at the end of 3 years, we could then discuss what we're discussing now as far as any changes that may have to come up?
That's it.
Would that
Timely,
be-
right.
That sounds good.
Okay, so then we can leave the contract as is on the 3-year, and then on the renewal period after 3 years, we could be sitting down and having this discussion again, what has to be changed or
right.
tweaked or whatever it be.
This whole thing needs to be at the benefit of everybody, just not one group. So,
Because it specifically says upon renewal, the parties may renegotiate the terms and
Yeah,
conditions.
I just wanted to clarify that so everybody was on the same page.
So really, right now, it's just a discussion of what's going on, and then when it's renewed, then this discussion
And we
goes.
just wanted to show you guys that we are growing and we are making an effort to make it bigger and better than it ever has been.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed with your county support, too.
Okay, we have a motion by Kipley, second by Fishback to approve the lease agreement with the 2 changes, taking out the terminology of the concession, property being by AKC, and also the insurance change, and adding a 9 for the water usage.
Correct.
And then just updating the dates on number 2.
Right.
All the language should be the same.
I was gonna mention that the starting date, I presume, would be October 31st of this year, and then the 3 years would run from there.
That'd be okay with you guys?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So who's going
I can
to
update
give
it.
me the changes?
I got them. Do you want me to update them, or do you just want them?
Well, I could plug them in the...
Doesn't Chris
Word
need to
file and
rewrite
then
it?
show them to you.
Okay.
Doesn't Chris need to rewrite?
Max certainly can, it's a pretty
Huh?
simple fix, and I don't have a contract.
Okay.
Unless Max wants to.
I thought it was, it was a contract, that maybe it was something that...
You can just review it once it's
I don't
done.
write all the contracts. I'd
You
be-
don't?
I'm doing that if I did. Max, you can send it to me, I can make the changes if you want.
Okay.
Rachel, do you have your copy?
I do, yep, all 4 of them are on there.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is to discuss Andrea Schwan hours and pay. As you're aware, Andrea was over and helped out immensely on our payroll and training, and she put a lot of time in on the weekends and nights, and I believe she had a total of 43 and a half or 43 and a quarter hours. And we're just basically acknowledging that, paying for her efforts for training and helping out in the payroll department. I don't think we need a motion, do we? Or-
Well, if you're going to treat it like a contracted service,
Okay,
then you need to pass this payroll assistance agreement.
I
So-
move it.
Second.
moved by Kipling, second by Sutton, and basically this is gonna be a 1099 treated as kind of like a vendor?
Correct.
Okay. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Much appreciated. And you and I need to talk about the hours.
Okay. Happy where it's at.
That goes with payroll.
Next item, we have discussed meal reimbursement policy. Gary, you did some checking with the IRS on that?
Yeah, I called the IRS and tax professional, and basically was, as I sent some information to you, was referred to Circular E, and I gave you the explanation of what they said and what it looks like on Circular E. I don't know if you all agree that it looks like that we shouldn't be collecting on meal reimbursement per what was discussed with RAM, our new payroll company too. They didn't understand why we were withholding taxes on that, and that's what it looks like per the Circular E, that we shouldn't be collecting that either.
That's the way I read it.
And that's the law, what the IRS will tell you. What's that Circular E?
Did you have other authority, Max, that kind of told us we had to do that, or is that just kind of terminology of the...
It just, from visiting with other entities that do it, because of IRS reviews, and they were not fined for it, but they were told to start doing it.
Well, like I stated, it says if you don't meet the state minimums, you're exempt, but
What's the state minimum?
$11 for breakfast, $12 for lunch, and $23 for dinner, and $5 for incidental expenses.
And ours are lower than that.
Ours are lower than that,
For
okay.
instance,
Okay,
Sounds good, good clarification.
thank you, Gary.
Is that just policy change that we're just going to start?
yeah, we'll strike that paragraph in policy.
Okay.
You still enforce that there are no in-county meals paid, right?
Right. We didn't change that.
That's our policy.
Yeah, we've always had that.
Yeah, that's our,
Not always.
I think the
For quite a
only
while.
exceptions, wasn't there some classes people were taking and it was rolled into the registration fee, but you can't really pull that out.
no,
So,
that's part of the registration.
Right.
Next item is discuss holiday pay policy. I believe we had the update with the new language in it.
Correct, and that's on the HR report today too, but if everybody was...
Yeah.
Did anybody have any
With
questions
that.
after that was...
We won't have any questions till the next holiday.
I will read how the holiday pay is set. Regular part-time employees, and temporary and seasonal employees shall receive 2 hours holiday pay if working 10 hours or less for the week, and 4 hours holiday pay if working over 10 hours, but less than 20 hours a week if the employee has a set schedule and it is their regular day to work.
Even if they're left-handed.
You don't put that in? No.
Oh, that's not dark.
So that is the key word, is the last sentence, I believe, is what clarifies that.
Schedule and regular day, yeah.
Last time we're gonna do this one then, huh?
Just so
Till next
wordy.
time.
I can't think of a better way to put it, but it's so
We
wordy.
have to specify to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of the uniqueness of the part-time and the different schedules.
Okay, the next item on the agenda, we have Dirk Rogers, Highway Superintendent, application of an occupancy Northern Electric and a department update.
Howdy. Morning, Dirk.
Morning.
This is the first time it's not you causing us running behind the agenda.
Yeah, I know, I'm like, come on. We have a right-of-way occupancy, it's from Northern Electric, and it's 1 mile south of 10, State 10 on 14, right in here, just the bore that goes under the road, taking electric service from this side to that side. I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Kipling, to approve the application of occupancy for Northern Electric. All in favor?
Do you have your
Opposed?
plan copies?
Motion carries.
Like the whole packet?
Well, I don't need it, but,
I mean, I'll get you one. I haven't sent them to anybody yet.
okay.
You know, but is that what you mean, like the stuff I send to the state, to have something on file?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no hurry.
Yep. Then just a few things we got going on, obviously it's dried out enough so we can, hopefully, yeah, harvest. We'll be dodging those guys, of course, but, we've got, we're patching now, which sort of just got stopped dead in its tracks here a couple weeks ago, so we'll pretty much be patching every day we can get asphalt from now till it freezes up, and then we'll switch to cold mix. And running all over Bladen. You know, roads get wet, can't really do anything with them, and then they get dry, and all 200 miles need love at the same time, so we're running around with that. Replacing the railroad crossing on the state line today and tomorrow. Should be open by the end of the day tomorrow. It's on Road 14, and it's dead closed. It's not like you can sneak through or whatever, so we've already had people driving by the barricades this morning, and it's not, you know, you get up there and it's not, yeah, you can't get around, so. Leans will finish paving on Road 23 today in a few of the spots. So that should be done, then we gotta go down and broom it off again for our strippers, or stripers, that are coming. That could be just, that's day by day. They're completely, you know, counties, they've been cutting counties out of that program a lot this fall already just because it's the weather, and so I'm not really sure. They're gonna show up on, you know, I'll probably get a call on them Monday night and they're gonna show up Tuesday, so just be aware they'll be running around. Dry enough start getting the dirt out at Richmond, so we'll be working out there again. The south end of the project will continue as planned. Should start seeing some gravel go out there, a little bit of seeding yet. And then on the north side, we'll be removing some dirt there and stockpiling it. Found a spot about 500 yards away, so it's pretty good. We don't have to haul it too far. And that's to make it passable and button it down for the winter. I think that's about it. As far as wrapping stuff up, the turning lane project, just like everything else, suffering from a little bit of weather. They've had to take some gravel out of there, and we'll have to reinstall it before they can pave it again, but it should get done here in the next week or so, as long as the weather holds out a little bit, so. Well, the one out on 281? Not even gonna start it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that was the approach we took. I haven't heard back from everybody, but the way we were gonna go is let's not rip something else open so we can have one more thing that doesn't get done. Right. Yeah, so, and there's no, the grant, you guys, you know, we had to do that thing, the grant's been extended for, we're not in any jeopardy on that timeline by pushing it into the spring, and the plant's not gonna be open, so it's not super bad to do that, I don't think. So, good. Anything else? All right.
That was easy.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really easy. I like when you guys are running late.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks.
Next on the agenda, we have Diane Lair, discuss teen court concerns.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for giving me this this time. I'm here because I coordinate Brown County Teen Court, and I read in the paper that a building was purchased, and since that, there's been a lot of speculation and talk among employees that I'm around as to what's going to happen, and there's a lot of emotion mixed in it. I'm just here today to just let you know what my simple needs are and to kind of ask you to explain to me what's going on. So easier to just find out the truth than to try to flow with all of the rumors and everything else. So for teen court, I would need an area to actually host court because we've been asked not to use the courtrooms upstairs. And then I would need 2 small offices, one for myself and one for the teen attorneys who meet with the respondents and their families to develop the case and be, come up with the prosecuting and defending information and build the case for the respondents. And so I'm not sure if that's something information that you had, or I just wanted to put that out there and just kind of find out where you're at with all of this move and where you kind of have plans to put teen court.
How many participants have you had this year, Diane?
Let's see, right now I've got 12. At the beginning of the year, it was slow because they were giving tickets to the kids for first-time offense, and then a second-time offense for the same thing. They can't come through teen court. So the first half of the year was real slow. The second half of the year has picked up dramatically. Right now I've got 15 kids in the program. Some will roll off next week, and then 4 more will come on at the last week of October. And so I'm averaging 10 to 15 kids right now.
Well, I think to answer your question as far as regarding where teen court will be, we're not going to leave you out in the street. We've kind of put you in our plans.
Okay.
We're looking at moving, the original thought is to take our 911 dispatch center, along with all our communication technicians down there, move it over there. That's going to free a bunch of space up downstairs.
Okay.
Whether it be an area big enough for teen court and offices. So, we're just kind of in the process of shifting that. I don't know that we have the actual logistics of where that's going to fit in downstairs, but there is space available for that teen court to go downstairs.
Okay, excellent.
What time
I appreciate that.
Your schedule, when do you guys usually roll with this? Is it morning, afternoon, after school, typically?
Evenings.
Evenings.
Yes.
Okay.
So because kids are in school and parents are working, teen court usually runs between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. is the time frames that we're usually in the building over there. Now, me personally, I'm in and out sometimes between that, but as far as other people.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So when you have teen court in these evenings, is there a lot of setup to that, or is it just basically just to have a room? I mean, as far as the dynamics of what takes place in that teen court.
Sure. Right now, we're using the very back area of that, the 24/7 and welfare building, and we've got a long table back there with a high chair for the judge, and we've got 2 tables for the prosecuting and defending attorneys, and then some seating in the back for the parents, and a section for the teen jury. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy, just,
So when you have these, how many people are you talking attending? You have the adults, the attorneys, and that type of thing. Are we talking 30 people in a room, 20? I mean.
No, I would say there would be no more than 5, 7. 12 people max in the room at one time.
That kind of lets us know what we have to have for space then for you to make that function.
Right.
When's the last time we had that? Each case is closed, so you have to have a place to close the door.
What we would need, we would need a sealed space or some way to keep the next respondent and their families away because these are juvenile issues. They're closed and nobody else can be in the room at the time. Even the younger siblings of those families are not supposed to be present.
They used to have, remember, Tom, where they'd have an open house and we could come and watch how the kids would show us what they do for the teen court. And they had in the fall, I think it was.
Oh,
That was prior to your time.
yes.
And that was very interesting. It was educational. You could actually see. They didn't do it. They did a mock trial.
Okay.
And that
Sure, I
was,
didn't know that was done. I just had an open house to try to recruit some new teen attorneys, but we could certainly do that.
it was very educational for me to see what was all involved.
Yes, okay. Well, that's a good suggestion.
And they said that, and if I remember right, they said this promoted a lot of the young people into taking an interest in the legal system in their education.
So what do you use now for the lawyers? Do you have volunteers, young
We-
people?
yes,
The
the
teenagers
state-
do it themselves?
No, the state's attorney's office gets lawyers in town to volunteer
Oh,
their time.
regular lawyers?
Yes,
Just
regular
for judges.
lawyers come in and act as the judge,
Okay,
yes.
judge.
For the judge, right.
But the prosecutor and the defense?
Our
attorney?
teens that
Are the
are
teens?
interested in criminal justice or
Okay,
law
okay.
or social degrees of some sort, debate,
Yeah.
anything like
So if I
that.
know somebody that wants to be a lawyer at some college, is that somebody that you'd be interested in using?
I would I'll take the name right now. You got it.
I know somebody that,
Yes, that'd be wonderful.
I'd talk to them, see if they're
Okay.
interested.
Yeah.
All right, right.
That'd be
Very
great.
good.
It's really educational.
It is, it really is a great program. A lot of these kids that come through are third and fourth generation drug and alcohol families, and the parents aren't able to, do what they need to, and this program gives them a leg up and gives them some new tools, and so. Anyway, I appreciate your time.
You're more than welcome. And we will, now that we have some functionality of what you need, that can kind of be arranged for downstairs as far as a secure place for the people that can't be involved. That kind of gives us an idea of where we want to be downstairs, but there's going to be substantial room down there. It's just a matter of how we put that together.
Okay, super.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Have a great day.
You too, thanks.
Next item on the agenda, we have the Torgerson public hearing for appeal and planning and zoning board decision. Come on in.
Morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for your time this morning. For coming in.
I guess I don't know quite how to start this, Chris, as far as what we need to do as far as the appeal process.
I would treat it just like the Board of Adjustment treats their regular hearings, and would have both sides present their argument. If Scott's side, the county side wants to just enter the packet that was provided to all the parties and the commissioners and call it good. I mean, that's up to you folks how you do that.
Okay. Well, Scott, do you want to present maybe what the planning and zoning has done to date? I mean, and Rachel probably would be a little more familiar with this than me. I mean, I'm not on the planning and zoning.
Well, I put together the packet that everyone has, including Tanya, and basically what I did was I put together the information of the planning and zoning meeting requesting a variance for a storage building variance, and then included the minutes that went along with that, with the decision, and then the staff report packet for the shelter bills, requesting a variance, and then the minutes that went along with that. She usually referred to the variance that they had on the house, so I included that variance request in here also, in the minutes. And it's all kind of in order. Ownership deed that she owns the property at such and such, and then their house variance, and then the first one would be their shed variance request. And then Gary was at the shed meeting in June. I wasn't present at that meeting. So if there's questions to that, he would, other than the minutes, he would be familiar with that.
So just so these guys have a little background, the initial one was for the house, correct? The
Correct.
variance request, and that was granted.
Yes.
So that's what, in your packet, item number 4, on April 21st of 2015, variance for building setbacks.
And no one was opposed to having a mayor house that's 26 feet tall, and we applied for a variance of 70 feet from the township road, and no one opposed the house variance. And we drew out a map so you could have an idea of where everything is on the property for the house and the shed, you would. And that one. Print out right. I hope there's enough one to print out for everyone.
They have copies of the aerial, so.
Yeah, we got the area. Had it anyway.
This one's more to scale than the one that we drew before. And also previous to that, there was a storage shed, a machine shed type, that was 70 feet back from that same road. And it was much, much larger than our garden shed. And as you can see, the garden shed will actually be in the complete windbreak of the house. It's only 11 feet tall, 11.5.
And when was the bigger shed moved? Was that when you guys built the house?
Before we built the
Before
house.
the house. And we also, I think it was from the university, it's documented, but the wind which works with the snow drifts around the structure. And with our appeals for these variances, we're not asking anything of the county that isn't, granted on a regular basis. And it's not too far from our place in section 19. There's a large farm shop that is approximately 64 feet from the right-of-way, and there's no variance on file that we could find even. It's on the north side of a township road. I'll pass that around so you could, we didn't make copies of that, but as an example of one.
So they did have a variance?
We do not have a
Not that
variance
we
on
can
file
find.
that we could find. We went back to 2009.
Where's that
Sometimes
at?
we don't catch them all.
And that was measured with Google Earth, so we could see, I don't be exact, but.
taking shed and trees together, or did you want to focus on one at a time, or?
Let's just do the shed first of all, and so your variance for the shed was denied on June 19, 2018, is that correct?
Yes.
And then, at this point in time, that was denied. Now, this shed has not been installed there yet?
No, it's
sitting about 40 feet west of where it would go, and it's sitting on some head blocks.
Okay. So I guess the question I have is, the 50-foot variance versus the 100, how much does that affect your property if that has to be moved to 100? I mean, what is the drawbacks of that 50 feet versus the 100 feet, I guess, as far as that, I guess, I don't know what you want to call it, for a shed, a garden shed, or whatever we're calling it?
garden shed,
It's a large garden shed, I can see that, 12 by 30.
or a lawnmower,
Okay,
and I want to put my four-wheeler in there.
okay.
And, well, that's where the garden is, and it'll be in the windbreak of the house, and it's good proximity to store tools in and such, not to clutter up the garage. And it's really no place convenient at all to move it, that would be 100 feet back, because the septic tank for the house is back there. And the drain field is back.
So I guess the only question well, I would have as I look at this, the way it sets, so if we had a lot of snow, we had a northwest or north wind, it could cause blockage on the south side of that building into our highway right-of-way. Would I be correct in making that statement? I mean, I realize that maybe it only happens once in 5 years or 4 in 5 years, you know, it depends on the winter, but I mean, I could see 50 feet.
That's the
With-
reason we have these.
Right,
One
that
of the reasons.
that you're sitting there with that building there, and if you got a tough winter, you know as well as I do where the snow piles in South Dakota, it's all on the south side of a building. And that's, I guess, why I'm looking at it thinking, is that going to be a problem for snow removal on that particular stretch of road there? And that's the only thing I see in this is, you know, somebody else may see something else, but that's what I first thought is, are we going to have a problem with snow drifting on that particular south side of that building, only set 50 feet from?
Yeah, well, with the house where it is, it really shouldn't. It's shorter than the house, and it's not
Sometimes
high.
When you get,
issue and
when I see this though, when you get a northwest wind, I don't think the house is going to protect that building. I mean, it looks to me like the house is off to the east of that building, if I'm looking at this map correctly. You know, so I guess that would be my concern. Are we going to cause,
Sticks out farther.
you know, I
And there's
guess,
also a enclosed porch on the back of the house too. So that's another drawing. It sticks out, what is it, 20 feet beyond the house?
I guess when I look at this, that would be my concern. That's the only thing I have is, that would be my concern is that, is it going to cause snow blockage on that particular road? Now, that-
And it would affect fire, ambulance, whatever, you know. We've heard through the 97, the 2007, all those heavy snows, we had roads blocked, and that's one of the reasons we have the setbacks, is to help us. someone's life could be at stake.
I mean, what about the buildings that aren't and don't even bother to get a variance? How are you gonna go forward to them? I mean, there's shops full and 11-foot tall garden shed, 2 roads that have to be opened as well.
Well, I would guess that we as a county would have some consistency in that. I would hope that we're not saying you can't be 50 and you can be 75 and you gotta be 100. I would hope we'd have some consistency there, because I think it's important to treat everybody fairly in the county. I mean, that's just my thoughts. But, you know, I don't have facts on who's got a building 64 feet. I mean, I don't drive around looking for that kind of stuff, so it's hard for me to give you an opinion on what everybody else is doing. Unless somebody else wants to add to that, I mean, that's just kind of my thought.
That's another issue, we don't, you know, if we're not aware of it, there's not much we can do about it.
That has to be another, something that has to be brought up to the zoning.
Or you'd hire more full-time people for our planning and zoning. With an office of one, I know there's different projects that Scott's working on, but he in no way can go around this entire county and spot check every single. If he could, that'd be amazing, but I don't think we have the staff or the money to hire the staff to do that.
Well, I don't like to go against the planning and zoning board unless there's really a good reason. That's why we have them.
And the ordinance is there for a reason.
Exactly. I would move to deny the
I'd second
appeal.
it.
Before we take a vote, do you want to add anything more? We have a motion by Fishback and we have a second by Hanson to deny the appeal. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next part of this is we're talking about shelter belt trees. As far as the setback. Scott, do you want to elaborate on that at all, or what's the planning and zoning?
It was submitted for a variance for, we'll call them the west trees and the north trees. The north trees are perpendicular to the Brown County Highway, and they were denied a variance request to be closer to the highway right-of-way, so their minimum would be 100 feet, as the ordinance says. And then the west tree belt, there was concern about that road being a mail route and a bus route, and they didn't want to add objects for more drifting if there was snow, heavy winters that they could do. And that was discussed, as you can see in the minutes, that was discussed and different suggestions brought up and voted on and denied. And they settled at 75 feet back rather than 100.
So instead of 100, they were letting them have 75, huh? Is that what you're saying?
Right, on the west trees.
Yeah, these on this side. So the planning and zoning board already compromised 25 feet, is that correct?
So the blue hash lines basically indicate where they would have to remove the trees back to. Is that the way I'm reading it?
Highway Department was against it too.
He's against, we talked to him about that, he's against all variances.
There's reason.
On that one drawing, you can see where I drew dashed lines and then I put in 100 feet.
There's also notes in there that we purchased 6 days after the district planted our trees, that we purchased so many trees, and it kind of sounds like you're being told that we extended our tree rows. We did not. You can come out and look if you would like. The trees that we purchased were maple trees and fruit trees for the yard. 6 days afterwards, we did not extend them after the conservation planted them. And there should be 40 feet back, not the 35. We've measured it a few times with the tape measure. And we went through the minutes, and since 2009, 47 requests for variance for trees have been requested. 1 was denied, 1 was withdrawn. I have pictures of 16 sites not very far from our place that have no variance for their trees, and they are closer than the requirement, and nothing has been, there's no variance on file. They were planted, to the best of my knowledge, before, after 2009. And I'm not familiar with all of those that you have on your list, but I know one that's been done along 16 north of Bath, since I've been on zoning, was a split vote. And I know my personal opinion is when I see that the highway department doesn't want it, or does not recommend the variance, to me that speaks volumes. So that's why on the split vote that I'm talking about prior to your guys' situation, I voted against that one, and I remember it passing. And that's why this one too, I had a lot of concerns on the one right along 16 with the highway concerns. And I understand where the folks are coming to as well on the south, but there was quite a bit of discussion on what that variance amount should be, trying to get something, but yet make sure that the road is protected. There's a copy of the list. I can take a paper for everybody.
Is there?
Yeah. And the pictures are labeled on the back.
These are established prior to 2009 or new?
After
To the best of our knowledge, after. There's a couple that are,
questionable.
you know, that are pretty good size, we aren't sure, but there's a lot, most of them are relatively new. Some were planted the same year or after us. And the number on the left-hand side corresponds to the number on the back of the pictures that Mr. Fishback has.
And remind me, when you guys went in and set up with NRCS to do the trees, any conversations had there with them as far as they knew what they were doing and what the variances were supposed to
Yep.
be? Did you guys have that conversation with them?
And it was right on their work order to be 100 feet back, and when he got there, we wanted to make sure he stayed far enough from the fence because it was seeded to Roundup Ready alfalfa a week prior to them planting, and we had measured in to so that there was enough room to hay 2 passes between the fence and the first row of trees, and then we had flags for them to know the 14-foot row spacing. And he said, well, where do you want us to start? And I said, well, where are you supposed to start, or where do you normally start? And he goes, this looks good enough to me, and he started planting. And it was right on their sheet, 100 foot.
Oh, that's way out.
And I know that the discussion was held at the zoning. It's not their responsibility, and it's not the problem that somebody planted them wrong, but you would think that when they plant trees all spring, that they would be pretty firm in that, oh, yeah, they're 100 foot back, when it says it right on the sheet. And I guess when we went in and signed that, she talked about that, so we didn't bother with the variance. And when he asked me, I assumed he was going to start at 100 feet.
So you're saying prior to it actually being done when you went in, they acknowledged it was 100?
When we went to the conservation district, she put it right on that work order that it was 100 feet.
Did you have any conversations with them after the fact, showing them, hey, we measured this and it's not the 100 that you said it would be?
I guess we never did, no.
Because I would think maybe there's some, I can't say what they'll do, but I would think if they messed it up, they might come back and at least plant some trees where they're supposed to be or try to rectify the situation, if that conversation was had. Because I was thinking you didn't have anything in writing, but if it's actually on the work order that
Yeah,
it's
the work
supposed to be.
order, Scott actually has that in this packet. And it's that. Find it now. It's back about 2/3 of about 4 pages in from the back. And if you look on there, not this one?
Yep, that one.
Yeah, on the back side, he has it highlighted, 100 feet from both roads.
So for you guys, it sounds like it's not that you absolutely
We didn't tell
wanted
them,
the trees
yeah.
there, it's the hassle of having to move them now.
Yeah.
So the variance, it doesn't bug you that you didn't get that, it's just having to move them and kill the trees that you paid for.
Exactly.
Trees are hard to get started. Yeah.
So where did you plant all those extra trees you purchased?
They were maple trees.
West of the house,
West
and
of the
most of
house.
those didn't survive. I mean, there's 3
Yeah,
of them
they're dry.
that are living. The
They're
apple
rough
trees
out.
all got drift and died, chemical drift. The second batch that was purchased in 2017 were hand planted in
Where one
where
died
one
out.
died when they were initially planted. And most of those didn't survive, even though we watered them.
And if there's any question that you guys think we extended them, you can certainly come out and look, because it's got plastic, it's right where the conservation started, we didn't extend them.
And when you do the measurement, how many trees we talking again? We talked about this, but if you have to go by the 100, how many trees we knocking out? Roughly?
Well, the
5
100 to be...
Well, didn't they already get the variance to 75 though?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got
Yeah.
the
It would be the 75, yeah.
Yeah. So, I wouldn't be against that, but,
It's about 7 trees in each row on the east-west row on the north trees. So times 5 rows is about 35 trees. And on the south, it'd be about 15 trees on the north-south trees to go to 75 feet.
In each row or total?
No, total.
So those pictures basically indicate all those tree belts are planted less than how many feet from the, is it 45, 75? I mean, it's hard to tell.
Well, no, those are less than the setback in your ordinance reads, less than 100.
And a lot of them are right up to the...
Right, and some of them are right up to the right-of-way
We
line.
were sitting on the road and we took the picture, so...
And then we have a picture here that is down the township road. Now, this is a mature tree growth, but it goes right to the right-of-way line. That's a bigger snow issue for the resident that lives to the west of there.
There's probably no ordinance at that time.
No, we realize that, but I mean, when we're back the distance we are, this is gonna be a way bigger snow issue than what
Trying to
we...
get everything
what ours
safe.
would be.
Hard to do.
Yeah, the only time we really catch those old ones is if they fall over, or
Yeah.
if they're wanting to replant.
Exactly.
And that's like one of the worst excuses when I say, well, it was there before. It's like, well, if it was there before, you don't automatically get to replant.
Yeah.
Have you talked to them about if they plant up the trees off the work order incorrectly? We're talking, how many trees, if you go to 75 feet, would they be willing to move those trees?
No,
No.
They would not.
we had a discussion.
You went to a meeting and...
One of the staff encouraged you to
Yeah,
come
one
to
of the
the...
staff encouraged me to go to their conservation meeting because they had made the mistake and we were supposed to know and tell them where to start. So, that's not an option. Even though it says it on their work order.
I don't think they looked at that.
I don't think they looked at it.
I wasn't sure which trees went in which rows.
It's just unfortunate that they weren't contacted the day after they were planted when you realized they were that much closer to the road than they're supposed to be.
Easy to move at that time.
Exactly.
Scott, on these pictures that they provided, that these other tree claims are planted less than 100 feet setback. Has that ever been inspected by the county, or has there been problems with that, or has anybody brought it to the attention of the planning and zoning, or I guess?
I haven't seen them.
The conservation district find out if people have the right to plant trees before they plant them, or they just go ahead and plant them where everybody tells them to?
Well, I had a discussion with them and they said it is their policy to plant them 100 feet back when they're perpendicular, and if there's mistakes made, you know, the board doesn't know that the mistake is made from the planters that are out there with the tractor and stuff.
I think the tree planters gotta be more aware of what they're doing.
They have had since this item come about, they have had a meeting and discussion and stuff, and looking at changing their
When we have
policy
ordinance
sheet.
for a reason, just everybody out there planting helter-skelter is just not a good thing.
It may also depend on who did it. When we did our trees in 2012, I had my signed forms from the zoning board, and they wanted to see them before they planted them closer than 100.
Well,
You get some that are a little more pay attention on.
I think letting go to 75 was a good compromise.
That's only on one side though.
Yeah.
No, it says in there, it's really the road that we're concerned about being open.
County road going north and south.
I just,
Yeah, the county north-south road.
I don't know, I think the planning commission made the right move here.
I guess the only thing I'm struggling with is, we got pictures that some people can plant
I know.
75, some can plant 50. I mean,
No
and then
pictures.
they have their work order that says they can plant 100.
We didn't approve those. So if we approve these, then we're gonna say, well, then the next person's gonna come in and say, well, you approved those.
You've got a precedent going.
Yep.
What do you need, a motion to uphold the zoning board is what I have a tendency to, I'd like to make that motion. That, I think they did right.
I'll second it.
Have a motion from Hanson to uphold the appeal by planning and zoning, a second from Sutton. Any other discussion?
Uphold the ruling, not the appeal.
Okay, yeah, uphold the ruling. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Unfortunately, I would think that somebody planted the trees wrong, they'd have some liability.
And I hate to see trees being taken out and removed. Safety is my big issue.
Were they submitting a list or pictures or something that...
Yeah.
Did they take them back?
There's the list if you want it. They took the pictures, but
No,
there's
I don't
the
really want it.
Do you want all these pictures? Would you like all, that's probably good. You might want
This
to.
guy was speeding too and he didn't get a ticket.
Do you want these too?
A lot of those were planted before. I don't know.
Like Gary Davis,
We don't know about it. We put it
prior,
in.
I know.
to current.
There's a lot of people go ahead and do that kind of stuff. Build it.
You gotta go.
Guy moved it.
It's unfortunate.
Hey, Scott.
$400,000, I think it was up there for this.
Yeah, those trees aren't cheap.
Okay.
Okay,
Next, we're gonna start with your stuff.
okay,
Look at that.
minutes from
October 9.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, seconded by Kipley to approve the general meeting minutes from October 9th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Claims and payroll.
Move. Second.
Moved by Fishback, seconded by Hanson to approve claims and payroll. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
HR report.
Second.
Moved by Kipley, seconded by Sutton to approve the HR report. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Declare decal 443, this is a London fogger from Weed and Pest Department, surplus for sale to another entity.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, seconded by Hanson, declare the Weed and Pest London fogger surplus and for sale to our government entity. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Sheriff report for September.
Move it.
Second.
Approve the sheriff report for September. Motion by Fishback, seconded by Kipley to approve the sheriff's report for September. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Lease for the city of Groton.
Move.
Second. Moved by Sutton, seconded by Fishback to approve the lease for the city of Groton. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And did you want to just mention some general information on?
Okay, we have an economic bond project for Northern State University, using the county as a funding agent with no responsibility or no expense to the county, I guess is what I should be saying. Does anybody have any questions regarding what we're doing on this project?
That's for their big capital campaign?
Yes.
Correct, for Northern, yes.
And what's the amount?
I think it's got to be less than 10 million, if I
Yes.
remember it. 10 million's the cap, and I don't know if they've got an
The
exact
legal
amount.
description, I mean, the legal notice is attached.
I don't know that we had set a dollar amount unless that's changed since.
Yeah, I don't know if that's been determined, but I think it has to be below 10 million, if I remember correctly, but I could be wrong there.
I don't see it.
It's no cost and no risk to the county. It's
We're just pass-through.
we're just
We're
the
just pass-through
the
bond.
governmental entity.
With an agent.
Right.
The public hearing is October 30th at, go to the next page, 9 a.m.
Maximum amount, I don't know what that falls under.
Hey, Doug, you're gonna wanna read this one too, from Kent. It's the latest of that outage. It's gonna be
$8.5 million for construction and furnishing, and $14.3 million for school for the blind.
So we have an update on our 911 service. Looks like there is a outage in Raleigh, and that's going to do the connection between the CenturyLink.
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Raleigh is where the...
say North Carolina?
And looks like there is not going to be a part available until tomorrow, so our 911 service is going to be down. So it's important that we make everybody aware of the 626-7911 number in place of the 911. I believe the media would help us get that out there. That'd be great. It's a
Do
pretty...
you want me to, did you get it?
Yeah, we got a press release from Scott Mine.
Okay.
I think it's already on the American News website, and
On
the radio
About this
stations
tomorrow,
are already
yeah.
advertising
Well,
that.
it's a crucial thing to have that down, so just so everybody's aware there is an alternative, but probably not the best alternative, but that's all we can do for now. I mean, it's... So is there any other discussion on the bond that we were discussing with...
Since it wasn't on the agenda, do we need to put it on the agenda and take official action next week
I
to make
believe
it.
we should.
So it's noted.
Yes, we
in
should.
the-
What action are you going to take?
At this point, I guess I'm just asking. I mean, it's already been advertised,
Mhm.
and so I would look to the state's attorney if there's a right or wrong answer as to how we proceed.
What action would you take against this question? Are you gonna say the county's okay with it? I mean, is that what you're thinking, or is they're not okay with it?
I believe that everyone was on board with approving it.
And what's the public meeting, 31st?
October 30th at 9 a.m.
What's that? Who noticed
The
that?
hearing, like they're gonna come tell us about it?
Well, it's, yeah.
Okay.
I would just do it at that time, then,
Okay.
if you need to take action.
Yeah.
Perfect.
The only thing we really didn't do was authorize me to advertise it. And
Well, I think
the what?
they can authorize you to do that without being on the agenda.
Yeah, yeah.
We should probably do that then.
I'll make a motion that we authorize
Well-
it to be advertised.
It's already been done.
That's already been done, do we
It's
need to make a
already been done.
Oh, the
motion?
motion has?
Okay.
No.
It's already been on.
Withdraw my motion then. I just didn't know if it needed to be reflected in the minutes, so.
So who will come on the 31st, Matt? Or the 30th, sorry.
I believe Todd Meyer Henry.
Okay. And then you can ask that.
And then he's available if anybody has questions today or next week. And all he said was call with commissioners on 16th or 23rd. And that's the last communication I got, so I didn't know if he was setting something up with Gary or the commission.
Right, we have.
Just have to run through us for some reason or another. Some legal
In order to qualify for the tax-free municipal part of it.
Isn't that something that normally in the hearing, he's here at that time when we have the hearing?
Yeah.
So do we want to make sure that he's going to be here October 30th, Gary?
Oh, I'm sure he'll be here the 30th, and I didn't know. if he-
Yeah, I'll verify it.
Okay. Gary, do you have anything for us?
I do not.
You were done, Max, right? Everything's correct. Matt? Anything else to come before the commission?
Can we do a real quick exec for pending and proposed litigation?
Okay,
Move it.
Second.
moved by Hanson, second by Sutton to go into exec, pending legal for legal. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
You make it quick.
We are in exec.
I got it.
We are out of exec, no action as a result.
Stranger.
Hi, Andrew.
We don't know.
Oh, I thought you were here.
No.
We were in exec. We don't know where she is.
Is there anything else
Time for some more
come
exec?
before the commission? Are they here for the commission?
Do you
Patty
need
wants
exec?
exec.
For
Can we
what?
take a
Personnel?
2-minute break first?
Okay.
Personnel or what?
HR, bills, SDRS?
I'd move to go in for personnel.
Okay, we are going back into exec for personnel.
After a 2-minute break.
After, no.
We are in exec with a 2-minute break.
Thank you.
We are out of exec, no action as a result.
On both of them?
Correct.
Right, yes.
Rumera gets 20, you get 60, you know, when they switched.
Is there anything else to come before the commission? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Hanson, adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
I'm on.